Hi, it's Delegate Mike McKay representing you in the Maryland General Assembly, representing District 1C that serves both Allegheny and Washington counties. Week 3 of the legislative session here in Annapolis, and I wanted to bring to you an attention this week to the House Minority Caucus announcement of their new education legislative package that I'm 100% supporting. These are 4 pieces of legislation that are proposed and are as followed. The Real Money for Real Education Act, Learner at Home Relief Act, Education for All Act, and the Vulnerable Students Protection Act. This package of legislation wants to address the important issues you and parents and students are facing during this pandemic. Now, the Real Money for Real Education Act would provide families in a school district that does not fully reopen in-person learning in 21-22 school year. Now, a family would then be eligible for an amount of money equal to the per pupil spending that comes from the state. These funds would be used to attend any private or parochial school in Maryland, and would roughly come to about $7,000. Now, the Learning to Act at Home Relief Act, a survey was done by the National Retail Federation, which found that an average household would spend up to $790 per family on school-related items during the 2021 school year. This is a significant increase over last year and doesn't include internet, childcare, food, or higher energy costs that is all due by this pandemic. The act would in turn provide a $250 tax child credit for helping these families. Now, the Education for Equality for All Act and the Vulnerable Student Protection Act are as follows. With school closed at a disproportionately impacted students and their families, as well as at-risk students, this act will address the needs of these students and families so that they do not feel abandoned by the school system. The Education Equality Act does the following. If schools are unable to perform the necessary evaluations for special needs children and entitlement to, the school system must provide the parents with information on having these evaluations done independently. The Vulnerable Student Protection Act requires schools to provide these critical in-person at-risk students for the 2021-22 school year. Even if the school is closed, this bill would require specific services for such as special education, speech, language services, counseling, behavioral health, physical, occupational therapy, as well as nutritional services to be offered on an in-person basis for these at-risk students. The number one priority of this legislation is to get students back into the classroom and help you, Maryland families, out. I'd like to thank you for your continued opinions and interest of what's going on in the session, and I hope that we will be able to update you more in our next video. Thank you for allowing me to represent you in the Maryland General Assembly.